Welcome to the Pretty Red Ent Show. It's your girl, Goddess Naquita, aka Pretty Red Ent. And if nobody told you today that they loved you today, just know that Goddess Naquita, she loves you, okay? All right, guys. Also, I wanted to send some love and light out to me and to all the angels and ancestors out there, okay? Because they deserve so. So how are you people doing? Are you surviving the Mercury Retrograde? How you vibing with Pluto moving into Aquarius? Because I'm loving it. Especially for my cardinal signs. I know y'all kind of happy, especially for Capricorns. I know that y'all are very, very, very happy right now. But this Mercury retrograde has done a number. Like it came and just said, you know what? Hands up. Hands up, little buddy. We're not going to play that today. And Sagittarius, guys, is really about fighting. You know, they are the warriors of the zodiac sign. So you do know, like, and it's retrograding. Like, so how do you like to communicate when you argue? How is that? Like, is it clear, conscious? Are you just saying anything? Or are you really articulating what you think about? Right? Like, okay, I know what I'm going to say. Like, we'll do a whoop. So you got to really figure that one out when it comes to this Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius. A lot of things I noticed that's coming up too is like, it's really like bothering. It's squaring a lot of stuff right now too, but it's really bringing up some stuff, right? Because this Mercury retrograde is actually hitting Venus and Capricorn. So if you got some of them old people hitting you up that was like karmics and you know that they are karmics, that is because Venus is also in Capricorn. So you might have to fight for your love. They might feel like they should fight for your love, or you feel like I don't want you, and so don't hit me up. Like you might have that conversation. You might feel like, okay, I just told you I didn't want you, and how many times do I got to tell you I don't want you for you to understand that I don't want you? Like, so you got to make sure, like, yeah, Capricorn will be moving up out of that and moving into Aquarius. In about a week, I think so. But guys, like, so make sure like you're really communicating, like, and not really getting back with people that you know is in a cycle. They toxic. They're not going to change. So there's no reason to be with somebody who's not going to change, right? Like, there's no reason to be with you if you don't even know what you want in life. So y'all got to make sure that you're stating and fighting for you. And it's also fighting to not settle either. I'm one of the people like, I cannot settle. I'm not going to settle. It's just not me today. Like, yes, I flow with the universe, but me settling for something less than what I know that I deserve, not going to do it. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Not even yesterday, okay? Yesterday prices is not the same as today's, but I didn't accept the same thing yesterday either, right? So I think today is really about like really getting to know you and how you want to communicate, especially when it comes to these lovers. Because that's what Mercury retrograde really, and sometimes it doesn't really affect it like that, but Capricorn is a karmic sign, okay? They're from the planet of Saturn, like, so it's a karmic sign. It brings up like karmic, like, so that way, like, you either gonna get a karmic reward or you're not. Like, can you say like what you want to do or not? And I'm one of them people like, what do you want to me to say? Like, and for them people who like single, y'all know y'all got them people who be like, they just pop up sometimes out of nowhere. Like, where did you just come from? Like, what do you want? And you're asking this question, like, what do you want? And you're like, okay. And people who like to spin the block. Like, okay, like you want to spin the block. Like, why you ain't spinning the block the first time? So now I got to be willing to talk to you, even though you wasn't willing to talk to me. Like, y'all got to make sure that y'all are expressing that like that. Like, so it's okay for that. And some people are like, well, it's because it's me. Like, you that toxic to say that I should accept you in my life because it's you to talk to me. But when I wanted to talk to you, you didn't want to talk to me. Like, what? How does this make sense? 1 + 1 equals 2, right? So if this equals 2 or 3, how the hell did we get to 7? Because that math is not mathing, right? Like, so I feel like people, they will play games with you until you say, I'm not playing games. You're used to this type of people. I am not that type of person. Never been that type of person. But this is, maybe I did accept that in the past. I don't accept that now. And it's not saying like, hey, like, why I don't accept it now? And maybe I should. I'm just not accepting it now. Like, I'm healed. Like, that version of me that was accepting that was not healed. I'm healed. Like, I don't want to accept that. That's not doing me any the diligence. Like, if I'm sitting up there accepting something that I really don't want to accept, like, yeah, you might be cool or whatnot, but if I don't want you, I don't want you. It's simple and easy as that. Like, nope, checked out. Like, you, so some, like, Mercury retrograde gets people to come out and say the things that they really want to say that they haven't said, but it's also in Sagittarius. So it comes off like a warrior, like, roar. You know, I'm funny. I'm so dramatic, but it's for real though. It comes off warriors talk, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not arguing with a soul. I don't want to argue with you. I don't want to say like this is crazy, but I also don't feel like repeating myself, right? Like, and this is something that you can say. Like, didn't I tell you like no once? Like, once you said it was over, it was over. What we talking for? Like, now, oh, now you see that I'm good, so now you want to come ride my wave. No, you should have rode my wave when I was riding it the first time. Like, don't get on this rodeo. This rodeo gonna kick your ass out, okay? And half the time, like, that's all really we need to do is really speak up for ourselves, right? Because some people, they have to speak up like, hey, look, I don't really want to talk to you for real, for real. I know this might hurt your feelings, but I just don't want to talk to you. This and that. And some people don't know how to communicate that. Like, yeah, it ain't gonna hurt me if you say you don't want to talk to me. What? Bye. I wish you nothing but love. You feel me? Like, wish you the energy you deserve. Nothing more, nothing less. You know, like, may your cup be filled. Like, you feel me? Like, and I think, like, I've been talking to a lot of people in like relationships and stuff. So I was like, make sure that you're expressing that and being very thorough with your conversations when it comes to expressing what you want in a relationship. A lot of times people get in relationships and they don't like say like, hey, I want to talk about this. I like, what are your deal breakers? That is an important question, guys. Like, some people skip this, like, especially when I be listening to people talk about their relationships and stuff. I'll be like, okay, so did you ask this person like these questions before y'all decide to get in a relationship? They're like, no. And I'm like, so if you would have asked these questions when you first met this person, you probably wouldn't even been talking to this person because these are your deal breakers. These are deal breaker questions. Well, when you love someone, you conform to them. Like, are you just, you overlook some of that? Like, no. If I have a boundary saying these are my deal breakers, I'm standing on that. Like, I'm not bending on that to make you happy because it's making you happy, not me. Like, I'm not about to do that. No. And then you'll find those people who like to manipulate themselves into the situation. Like, oh, okay, so that's your deal breaker. Well, I'm fine. I can just drop it. Like, no, that means that you really like to do that. Why would you give up something that you like to do for something that I don't like to do? That's not fair to you, right? Like, and not saying like, hey, you got to find somebody that rock with you, because there are people who they are with mates that do everything together, right? It's just saying, are you willing to accept someone who you don't like something, they just change it, but it's a manipulation style. So you got to see, like, are they changing it because they love you, or are they changing it, especially if it's like your deal breaker? You got to understand something. There's difference. Like, okay, I don't want to eat at McDonald's today, but you want to eat at Burger King. Okay, well, I'm gonna eat at McDonald's because I know you like it. That right there is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if a person is saying, prime example, you talk and you's like, listen, I don't like to talk on the phone. This person say, but I like to talk on the phone. And then this person says, well, I don't like to do it. But you know what? Like, and I'm gonna tell you why I don't like to do it. They got a whole like little theory about like why they don't want to talk on the phone. Then it's like, okay, well, that's fine. Like, you ain't got to talk on the phone then. But then they manipulate. He's like, you know what? And they got valid points to why they shouldn't talk on the phone, right? Like, this is what I'm saying. This is just like a hypothetical situation. I'm trying to, maybe, let me do a better example. Say, for instance, you want children, but this person doesn't. Because this is an important one. So one person wants children, the other person doesn't. And you're like, okay, when you first dated, if you was to ask this person that doesn't want kids, she's like, hey, you want kids? Like, now you're in a relationship with this person for 2 years and you're unhappy because you really want kids and this person doesn't. So how much time did you waste from A, B, and C with a person who didn't want a kid? And is that fair to them that now, in order, they're giving you a deal breaker? We either have a kid or we break up. And they're like, well, you were fine with it at first. And that's not fair to either party. You shouldn't be dating someone who doesn't like something with your deal breakers. That's like a deal breaker. At this point, after 2 years, it's a deal breaker. You're going to break up with this person because they don't want to start a family with you. They're like, well, I told you from Jump Street I didn't want a kid. And you still went along with it. Like, what? Like, y'all got to really have those conversations where you're able to communicate exactly what you want for real. Right? So I'm a person like, hey, like, what are you doing? How are you doing it? What are you saying for real, for real? And if you're not saying anything, then why are you not voicing to yourself like, you know what? I don't think we're going to be compatible because I can see that in the future, we might break up because you don't want kids. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's a hard deal breaker. Like, it's like, why did you waste all that time with this person knowing that you really want something that they don't want? And they might be a really good person because you're like, okay, well, maybe let me date them so that way I can change their mind. Their mind was already made up when you asked them the first time. I'm like, you know what? You might be a good dude and I like you, but I really want to start a family and you don't. So I'm dating to start a family. You're not dating to start a family. So maybe you need to find you a woman that's also not dating to start a family, right? And this person's probably adamant about it. Like, some people be like, you know, maybe I might want some kids like further down the line, like, but not right now. Like, so you got to make sure like you have those like open conversations when it comes to like relationships, because then you do not waste your time, right? Because time is one thing that we cannot get back. And then all of a sudden you sitting over here just talking about this and talking about that. And now you're like, oh, I'm stuck in there. Like, no, you should have just told this person from Jump Street, this is a deal breaker for me. And I feel like these questions should be more asked when you first meet somebody and y'all go out on a date. What are your deal breakers? Like, what's a deal breaker for you? Like, and then another question that should be asked, like, where do you see yourself in 3 years? And where do you see yourself at 5 years? So I ask people this question, and I challenge everybody, like, if they're with someone, I say, ask them this question. These two questions are going to let you know everything you need to know about this person, especially if you're a woman and especially if you are a man. Because if that doesn't include you in either of those two plans, then that's probably not the person for you. right? Because if a man really wants you in their life or a woman really wants you in their life, they're going to like, okay, well, they're going to express that when you ask them that, even on the first date, like, because their plan is really to be with someone, right? I was watching this dating show on TikTok, you know what I'm talking about, where they be like, okay, well, pop the balloon. And they were asking a girl, they said, well, where do you see yourself at in 3 years? The girl said, I see myself married, on a farm, whoop-de-whoop-whoop. So a lot of people popped the balloon because they were like, it's not the fact that you said that you was married. I just don't do the farm life because I'm a city guy. So then she ended up finding her somebody who wants the farm life with her, but also wants to be a part of that plan because his 3 to 5 year plan was to be married too. So that's a perfect match because that is deal breakers. These are deal breaker questions, guys. These are stuff that you should definitely talk about. Like, where do you want to live at? You want to stay in the city? Where are you trying to live at? Because that's important, especially if you got goals. What is your goals? How you want to get there? Where do you want to be living at to get to these goals? Because that might be something that you might not be willing to do. Like, okay, but you got other business here. Like, are you okay with that? Like, what's going on? And a lot of people don't think that this is important, but that is a very important question that you should be asking people all the time in the middle of dating, marriage, all of that. You could be in a marriage right now and unhappy because you probably want more kids. Your husband said, I only wanted 2. You knew from start when I first started dating you 10 years ago, I only wanted 2 kids, and then you want more kids. And then you get it like, why did I get married? And then the girl, what? I think like she like, what, she get her tube side or something like that? And Tyler Perry was just found out like she been lying. You get what I'm saying? Like, that is deal breakers. That broke that marriage up. Is that why you got married? I don't know. It might be, it might not. But it broke a marriage up. Or it could be thinking like a man. Either one of those. But it potentially broke their marriage up because these are deal breaker questions. People start lying. They start hiding stuff. Then it's like, what else is you hiding? And some of the stuff that they might be hiding might be disrespectful. Like, you're like, you know what, dang, like, that's so ill. Like, you should have told me this from Jump Street so that way, like, I could have a point, but you're all sitting up here saying that you're all happy to have family and then you don't want a family. And then one person compromises, right? So the compromise part is if you're compromising on your boundaries, right? Boundary questions, because y'all think they're not boundary questions. They're definitely boundary questions. So you compromise. You're like, okay, I don't want to give you no kids, but you compromise and give them a kid. And then they want another one. You're like, I already gave you one. Why do I have to keep compromising to you about something that I don't want? So this is a big part of relationships sometimes, guys, and why they fail. I feel like if you have these conversations, especially during Mercury retrogrades, it really can bring it up real quick to help you be like, okay, so what is it that you really want? You know what? It ain't gonna work. And it'll be easier to do that sweep once, you know, Mercury retrograde gets you out there because you're able to communicate, especially if it's in Saggy. It might get heated though. Like the other person might really try to fight for the relationship when you're like, I don't want to be in this relationship because you are overstepping your boundaries. One of my deal breakers. Deal breakers are boundaries, guys. They're the same thing, different names. Okay? They do the same thing. Boundaries is if you cross over this boundary, I'm done. This deal breaker right here, like if you smoke cigarettes, I'm done. Like I can't take cigarette smoke. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a deal breaker. So you need to have some standard about yourself. Like, do you want your person to smoke? Do you want, if they do smoke, do you want them to smoke cigarettes? Do you want them to smoke Black and Mouse? Do you want to smoke weed? What is it that you really want your person and how you want your person? Because like right now we are in a period of 2024 to 2025. You need to really figure that out. Like, what is it that how you really want your person to be? And don't settle for less. Like, okay, this girl got everything, but besides this, like, I feel like I'm compromising on this one. I wouldn't even do that. People be, I don't care. Men shouldn't compromise just as well as women shouldn't compromise. If you're compromising to one of your deal breakers or one of your boundaries, then yes. But if you're compromising, like, okay, this girl works at night, I work and maybe mid shift, midday to night. Okay, and I really like her. And the only time we have free is morning, so we do breakfast. So, okay, she might have a different day off than me. We're compromising on like what day we might each take off, so that way we can take times on each schedule. That is not considered the same thing as boundaries or deal breakers. Like, that is a compromise. Like, okay, like, I really want to spend time with you. I really love you. I'm into you, or I like you, and let's compromise on this, like, and see how this is. Or this could be like you two are in two different towns, two different states. And you're like, okay, well, I'm going to come here for Christmas. We're going to go here for Christmas. How about we go there for, spring? How about summer? We go here. Like, okay, and this person like, okay, well, I kind of really want to go there. Like, that compromising on issues like that is fine. But if it's like, you're like, I'm not staying at such and such house. This is my boundaries. We're going to argue. That right there is a deal breaker. You might want to stay there, and you know that me and this person might argue. That's not fair to me. I don't want to stay there. So in order for me to do something that I don't want to do, we're going to have to compromise. But if you keep putting me in a situation where I have to argue, I don't want to do that. And so then I'm going to have to be like, that comes between me and my peace. And so sometimes, guys, y'all got to save yourself first. Like, here's what they tell you on the airplane. You got to put on your face mask first before you can help anybody else, because how you going to help somebody else if you ain't got no air? Okay. That's that type of thing of how they're trying to express that. But I'm using that with relationships. Like, cause I'm telling you, this Venus and Capricorn brought them back. Bring them back. Like, no. Like, people are like, man, I had my ex ain't hit me up the last 2 Mercury Retrogrades. Now they hit me up crazy. Like, no. And I'm like, like, you can either take them back to hear what they saying or not. But if it's a boundary, like, listen, you hurt me. I don't know if I could take a risk for you not to hurt me again. Because it was easy for you to hurt me the first time. Why would I let you back in my life to re-hurt me again? Why would I keep healing the same wound again? That's not fair to me, and that's not fair to you, right? Like, and so sometimes y'all got to stand up for yourself and fight for your rights. And Mercury Retrograde in Sagittarius is helping you with that. Fight for your rights, guys. Fight for your rights, but fight for you and fight for your voice. Like, I don't like this. I don't want that. Like, stop playing with me. And and then now you about to have on Friday, Mars is coming to mess with the planets again. It's retrograding now in Leo. So it could get hot, intense. And it's what Leo to me is a romance energy, right? Like, very romantic energy, very playful energy. So imagine that that's the romance department in Capricorn. So maybe you might need to express yourself to get all these karmic people out. Like, I'm done. You are back there in Pluto and Capricorn. You will not hit this next level, because Venus and Aquarius is coming up, and that's about new love or taking your relationship to a higher level. Figure out what you want to do. And it's like, okay, maybe you might find new love in a situation like you're like, oh my gosh, I never knew that, well, this is that. I literally was talking to a person the other day, and I was like, how would you expect your person to be? And I'm like, I would never think that God would be like, God would send my husband down here to play with me. And I was trying to explain this to this girl. I was like, would you think God would send you your husband? He will recognize you and he'll know who you are. Would you think God would just let your husband walk away from you? No, he would not. Like, that God is not going to send somebody, or your angels or ancestors or the universe is not going to send somebody in there that's going to hurt you. At any moment you felt hurt, you need to take recognition. Where is it coming from? Figure that out, but also be able to express yourself in a very loving way, because that is important, right? Like, that is very highly important. I want people, I pay attention to what people say and how they say it. I'm like, why you just want to express this way? Like, it hurt. Like, I'm Mike can forgive you for this hurt, but if I allow you to come back in, you have an opportunity to do the same thing. And then I will be healing the same womb again. Right. And I'm just not about to do that. Like, I just cannot keep allowing you to come in and be toxic. That's toxic. Like, you don't want anything else but that. I'm like, woo, Shorty went off. I don't tell you that. She went off. Okay. But you really got to love on yourself. And when you love on yourself, you really stay focused on the things that you do that is about, like, what you do for real. So I will say that to y'all, like, make sure that you pay attention to how you moving and what you moving and what you really want, because that's important. If you don't know what you want, how can somebody else know what you want? If you're not able to express, like, this is what I'm looking for. If you cannot meet these bare minimum requirements, I'm not even going to entertain you, because this is what I require. Now, if I'm telling you what I require, you either fill out the application. If you're qualified, then you have 7 days to apply this application. If I say you approve, you have 7 days to apply pressure. If you do not apply pressure to the 7-day application, your application will be revoked. Guys, like, you gotta really set this standard for people to really respect y'all. People are gonna respect you because you're honest. Like, that's a thing. Like, I'm telling y'all, I was having a conversation with this girl and I was telling her, I was like, people always ask me, like, why I mess with my best friend. Rest in paradise to him. And I was like, because he was always honest. The man didn't lie. I can't lie and say me and him have had plenty. Like, me, when I say me and this man has had arguments, and he's a Virgo too, yes, we have argued. And it was more like, it's like, why are you doing this? Like, why would you deal with a guy like that? Like, we argued about everything, right? But I was like, the reason why I, like, mess with him and stuff, like, and I always, like, always have love for him, is because of the fact that he was honest. I never had to guess about any girl that he was dealing with. If a girl hit me up, I will already know who she is and why she's hitting me up. Like, what is going on, shorty? Like, what's up? Like, when you leave, I'm still going to be here. Whether we are whether or not me and this man is bumping the ground, me and him still going to be cool. And I kind of cut him off. So I don't even know why you complaining, because I don't even do nothing with this man no more. So, like, well, sexually at that time. So I was like, so what I'm telling y'all, like, is there a thing here where it comes to respect, because people can tell you, like, exactly what you're getting into, right? So I knew that at that time. Like, so it was never, like, disrespectful to me. Like, but I just don't like the fact that if I don't know, that's what I tell people. Like, if I don't know, that's when I have a problem. Because it's like, what are you doing and why are you doing that? That's not fair to me that you just put me in a situation and didn't ask me. And then, like, I don't know. There's multiple different factors. And not saying that, like, guys, like, you got to understand something. Like, I'm not saying it like that. Like, oh, I was okay with that, because I wasn't. Like, you get what I'm saying? But he knew that. Like, he taught me a game. He taught me how to be player. Like, he taught me a lot of stuff. And once I actually learned what he was teaching me, I was teaching him at the same time love. Like, real authentic love. And so stuff happens with that. Like, did I have some deal breakers? Yeah. One of my deal breakers is you can't have people on a team. Like, this was for Jump Street. So I couldn't even, like, when he taught me how to be player. So me being player would have been like, I can't even be mad that you got these girls on your team. We're 2 years deep. You still got these girls on your team. I can't be mad because I signed up for this from Jump Street. And I was okay with it. Just because I'm not okay now doesn't mean that I didn't accept this contract the way that it was. That's what I'm trying to articulate. Like, that'd be wrong if I tell him, like, well, drop all these people for me, which kind of wouldn't be, and it would be. And it's like, well, if you love me, you drop all of them. But why? You was accepted at first. Why I got to change my habit because you changed your mind? Like, that's not fair to me. That argument is a fair concept. People don't understand something like that is so, it's valid, but you accept it. So what happened if like, I was like, you know what? Like, we can't entertain because one, we friends, right? Like, and that's really what it was at first. But if I was like, you know what? Like, if that wasn't the case from Jump Street, then like, hey, you know, I don't mind like entertaining you because I do like you, but I just don't like the fact you got all these girls. And I feel like I might catch feelings later. And if you don't have all these girls and whenever you drop them, come hit me up. Like, that is a great conversation. This is being like, okay, like, just to let you know, but if I'm taking, then you can't, you know, stay over there with the girls then. Like, this is a conversation that y'all have to be willing to have with people. Like, I was listening to Dr. Umar or Elmer, I don't know, I'll be messing up his name. He was saying that a lot of times men create unhealthy relationships, black men, okay? He was holding black men accountable. He's like, because if you know that you want to have more than one woman in a relationship, you will find a woman that you like that only wants a relationship with just her and a man and nobody else. And you will get with her and get with 3 other girls like that. And now they're requiring what you signed up for and you can't produce on that. So now you're creating an emotionally unstable people, and a lot of hurt people are happening in this just because you don't want to be, just because you want 2 women at one time when you should have been honest and then dated you a woman who's okay with having another woman at the same time. See, that is different. And I'm like, you know what? He right. When I say he got a point, he got a point. His math be mathing that time. Sometimes it'd be totally off, but at that time, it was definitely mathing. Like, 'cause it's like, okay, like, and women do the same thing too. I'm not going to say that, hey, it's only men. No, it's women too, because they do be trying to date mass people too at one time. But the problem with dating is like, okay, I'm in a dating pool and I'm dating. That's different than I'm now spending quality time with the same person for over 4 or 5 weeks, and I'm doing the same thing with 6 other people. Right? Like, that's a lot of energy. Like, and people be like, you know what, sis, date them all. Like, why would you tell somebody to do that, first of all? That's a lot of energy. Like, I get it, but yeah, like, I get the logic behind that, but it's also a downside to that. Like, why would I want all these different energies around me when what happened if one of the 6 starts to really apply pressure and that's not the one I want to apply pressure? Now I done wasted all these people time, and the one I want to apply pressure is now saying, well, I don't want the relationship. I like what we got. You've been chilling with me for 6 weeks. We can continue to do that. See what I'm saying? Like, it comes to boundaries, communication. Like, y'all really need to come out to say, like, what are you really looking for in your end goal too? Because this is a great conversation to have about relationships. Like, what are you looking for? I'm telling you guys, I am top tier with my questions, and anybody who has ever dated me would tell you that. She is very top tier with her questions on what she's asking people. Like, what is your end goal? Because some people don't want to be married. And if you want to be married and they don't want to be married, that is considered a boundary, a deal breaker, all in the same box. Leave this person alone. But they say, well, I might want to get married and I might don't. You're too indecisive. You don't know. So I'm going to leave you alone because I need somebody to be sure. So y'all have to be able to like look at the signs and communicate that on exactly what you need and stop allowing people to tell you what is right and what is wrong, because that's not true. Y'all need to set healthy standards for what you really want and do not settle from that. Do not break. Okay, he got everything on my list, 7 other things, but he doesn't have 8. Okay, I'm going to leave you alone because you don't have 8. And is 8 any of these 7 on my list? Are they deal breakers? They kind of are, right? Because if you got a list, that means you got deal breakers. Like, okay, I need them to look like this, and that. He come up looking like anything else, like, I ain't gonna want it, right? That is considered a deal breaker. But you know what? I got somebody that kind of fits that, but doesn't. Are you gonna be happy that you settled for this? Like when you really wanted that and that was right around the corner? No, stop. Just let it go. Okay? Like, love on y'all first and choose you first. A lot of times people choose other people first and they compromise on deal breakers. Stop compromising on deal breakers, guys. Like, I'm telling you, y'all gonna see what I'm talking about. Social media, y'all gonna hear a lot of people arguing. Once Mars starts retrograding that Leo, romantic couples start arguing about deal breakers. Watch, you're going to be like, oh my gosh. Like, y'all either going to come back and leave a comment on the podcast or like, you know what, you was right. Or I might have been doing this already. Like, I just like trying to figure out a way like how to like express myself, be honest with people. Like, especially like if this deal breaker is to the point like you, like, it ain't going to work. You know that you stop compromising on deal breakers and boundaries, guys. Do not compromise on those. Like, oh my gosh, somebody was asking me, it's like, so what is one of your deal breakers? I'm like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're asking somebody, I don't know. I said, one of my things is if they like to text all the time. I don't like to text all the time. So if you're a person that like to text all the time, rather than actually like calling me, yeah, that's a deal breaker for me. I'm not even going to play with you because I end up getting upset. Then I feel like I waste my time. Boo, 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 boo. But this is a deal breaker for me. And I don't want you to say that this should be your deal breaker. But at some point, I'm too grown to be texting you. You feel me? Like, you got to like look at certain stuff. Because like, when I was telling the young lady this, I was like, but me, you're asking me a question. And I would say like, if you're asking me what one of my deal breakers is today, I would be like, if you're texting me all the time, like, I don't like that. That's childish. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's really, really, really childish. Like, I am a grown ass woman. Call me. Like, so if you don't call me, that's showing me that you do not care about my boundaries that I have for myself. That you only care about you. And that's not fair to me. And so it is what it is, right? So somebody's going to have to compromise in this, and it's not going to be me. So I was trying to help her, like show her example. And then, like, she used something totally different, which was really wild. But I just really feel that y'all have to learn to really, really communicate exactly what you need and what you don't need. And do not compromise on your deal breakers or your boundaries. Like, yeah, you know, because some of your boundaries might be like, yeah, you be hee-heeing in videos with them girls. I don't like it. That's kind of like my boundary. Kind of gives a red flag to me. You get what I'm saying? Like, you need to make sure you state also your red flags to them. Like, I might think this is a red flag. So if you do it, just know that, like, it might cause some, like, me to rethink some things, and I will need reinsurance. Like, y'all gotta start being open about who y'all are too. Like, cause that's the thing too. I'm like, this person don't even know you. I was literally talking to this girl. I'm like, what is he saying to you? He doesn't even know you. But what person does he know? Like, the persona that you put on. Why haven't you really showed him you? Like, this is crazy, right? So I really think that y'all have to really take the time out If you're going to use this energy right now, the planets that's coming in, to express how you really want, tell the people that you don't want to go back. And girl, don't go back thinking he changed, because half the time, if he changed, he going to apply pressure. And just because it's doing Mercury retrograde, he applying pressure. Applying the pressure means like he gonna do the stuff that you want, that you know that he applying it, and like like he sincerely has changed. Not like a few moments. Pay attention. My uncle always used to say, Keita, watch them. And I'm like, what you mean? He said, watch they clothes pattern. Like, just watch them for a whole month. Like, and this is how you know if you should date them or not. Just by watching them. And I was like, wow. I never even thought about that. Like, and then I was like, well, like I just be, at this time when I was talking to my uncle, I was very young. Like, and me and him, I was like, I'll be doing that anyways. But, some people are expendable. Some people are not. Like, but he was like, just watch them. If you really want, watch them. And then you will see, like, because this, and that, that's not the same pattern. If this man doesn't have the same pattern for 7 days, 8 days, 31, like something's off. Pay attention. Men do the same thing with women. So that's my advice to y'all, how to really work with this Mercury retrograde. And then y'all, like if you're looking for new love, like Venus is finna move into Aquarius, a new love might be on the way. Like, and if you're like, you know what, the universe, it's solid. Like I've been putting in the work. I'm ready. Like, yes, here you go. You feel me? Like, hey, we want to wish you a Merry Christmas. We want to wish you a Merry Christmas to you. So this is like my advice for y'all, how to work with this Mercury retrograde, especially because I know a lot of people are talking about the exes are calling. They was like, help me out. Give me some pointers. This is my pointers. Especially if you're talking about marriage too. Like you need to make sure like if your marriage is, rocky right now, because next year is going to be a lot of divorces. So if it's rocky right now and it's because of the deal breakers on both sides, like, and you've been compromising, if you feel like you compromise a lot and they haven't compromised nothing, like it's time to leave. It's not saying like, hey, you know what? It ain't working. And that's fine. And I think a lot of times people be trying to make something work that's not supposed to. Baby, you was here for a lesson. Like, I'm done. Like, it's too hard for me. And it's okay. Like, and it's okay to say, you know what? I'm going to leave you where you at and I'm going to move on. And I hope you move on in peace too. People have to start loving themselves too, right? You got to start loving yourself like nobody else love you and really care about you. What advice would you give yourself? What advice would you give your daughter, your son, your niece, your nephew, your best friend's daughter come up to you and ask you a question? What advice would you give? I literally asked somebody this the other day. I said, and they had a daughter. I said, what advice would you give your daughter? And they was like, oh, nah, don't just say it because you're trying to manipulate to try to get this answer to look a certain way. What advice would you give your daughter? That is important. Because if I'm listening to the advice that you give your daughter and it's not in alignment to what really should it be, then that lets me know that you're manipulating. Because if I feel a certain type of way, like, and it's that way, and I know that the only answer that you would give your daughter is the advice that I'm saying right now to you, then that's a problem, right? Or are you giving your son? I'm like, would I say to my son if my son was in a situation, tell him no, what is wrong with him? Like, yes, like if you did something, you're going to be held accountable for it. I'm not about to sit up there and just compromise. No. But if you're asking me the advice that I would give somebody like my child, I'm going to give you an honest answer, whether it makes me look bad or not. Because I'm authentic. People who are authentic, you can tell that by the way how they move. Like, even if it makes them look bad, they will still be honest. And that's why I rock with those type of people, okay? And that's, if you're not that type of person, you can get there too. You just have work that you got to do, which there is nothing wrong with that. But I really feel like to do the things that we need to do in general to have a healthy relationship, right? it comes with honesty and communication, being transparent, okay? Really being honest, talking about the deal breakers, the boundaries, really asking these upfront questions at dating stages. Like, that's important. Like, why am I not? And some people like, that's applying pressure. No, that's me being honest. I'm not about to waste your time. I don't want to waste mine. Like, that's the people don't look at it like that. But y'all have to start telling that to people. When you want answers and they don't want to give it to you, be like, I don't want to waste my time. Nevertheless, do I want to waste yours? My time is valuable and so is yours. So like, let's stop playing and see what's going on. And if you want to bail, I'm out. I'm out too. That's a red flag and I got to go. It's crossing my boundaries and me and my peace. I don't feel like, you know, some women, they be taking it, these women, y'all, they be taking it to a extreme and they be on Snap a lot. So y'all got to stop doing what y'all doing. And women, y'all know these men really be acting crazy because y'all be, you know, provoking them and then bam. Now y'all on the news because some crazy stuff happened. So just make sure that you take that time to really figure out how you want to be in a relationship. But if you are talking to somebody, like, figure out your relationship. It's always good and healthy to have every month, just be like, how's our relationship going? Like, do we need to do something different? How can we apply that? Are we making enough time for each other? Like, take this time out to really examine your relationship and see what you really want inside of your relationship. This is very important. Never skip this step, guys. Never, ever, ever compromise on your boundaries. Okay? That's very important. And your deal breakers. Because that will end up creating an emotion. You have to end up healing that. I was going to say something else, but it's an emotional stress, right? And sometimes stress could be good stress, but this would be potential bad stress. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not getting what I want out of this relationship. This is how you get what you want out of this relationship, by being honest from the start about what you want. And if it crosses your deal breakers and your boundaries, leave it alone. It's not for you. The person for you would be perfect. I promise you that, guys. That's one thing I can concur, okay? They're perfect. They gonna do everything right. They lie if they told you anything different, okay? So, guys, take this time out with Mercury Retrograde and Sagittarius to figure it out. With Mars going into that, just know, like, it might be a few fights. People might just start snapping out of nowhere. You'll be like, what's going on? Relationship beef, prime example, what you see right now, because the shadow period, sexy ridden her baby daddy. Perfect example. They argued on Twitter. Lotto mad because 21 Savage over there with Sweetie. Get what I'm saying? In Dubai. Deal breakers. You got to talk about them. All right. All right, guys. I ain't going to talk y'all head off too much. Let me know how I feel about the episode. I hope it helps somebody. But guys, thanks for always tuning in and tapping in and being with me. Y'all definitely rocking with the best, but I just appreciate it. And I'm like, gosh, I forgot to tell y'all like this and that. And I was like, oh, I gotta make my episode on my podcast. But I do appreciate y'all. I love y'all so very much. Thanks for always tuning in and tapping in to the Pretty Red Ent Show. Make sure y'all go follow me on all platforms at the Pretty Red Ent Show. Make sure y'all go sign up for my actual webpage at the Pretty Red Ent Show. And I do appreciate y'all. Sending y'all so much love and light. And especially to the angels and ancestors, they've been showing out. Okay, free the jewelry, okay, YSL, like, free them, because they definitely was freed, and God's just really been showing up and showing out in people's life and showing like where the justice lie. So guys, thanks for always tuning in, tapping in to the Pretty Red Ent Show. It's your girl, Goddess Naquita, aka Pretty Red Ent.